Hi, welcome to the Light Side Podcast. My name is Shola. I'm your host, and in today's episode, we're going to dive into the topic of healthy habits that have fueled me and changed my life for the better. These are all habits I've implemented over the last couple of years that have made a pretty dramatic difference. Things that I do both in my morning and nighttime routine, things that energize me and help me sleep without needing insomnia medication that I used to take previously. So considering that all of our lives are a collection of small moments, I know that's a common phrase that I'm sure you've heard of. Really, our ability to find joy and contentment in the small moments that make up our broader life experience, that make up our entire life experience. And what really makes up those small moments is our habits and the things that we do consistently and repetitively. There is so much power in doing the right habits that will fuel us and set us up for having a great day, a great week, and years, ideally. And so, there's really no right or wrong. It's what works for you. I'm going to share about 15 habits that I've written down and kind of go into detail as to how these will benefit you and how they've scientifically proven to benefit us. So I'm going to share what works for me, and you can try out what works for you. In December, I shared tips on how to overcome resistance to routines and the importance of routines and what they do for us and how they add value to our lives. So if you want more on that, go back to that episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about actual habits and activities that have served me and have scientific evidence and proof attached to them for their efficacy. I appreciate that speaking of habits can be very broad, and I essentially can succinctly categorize these habits into morning and night routines and things that we can do during the day. And so I want to start with night routines because sleep is the foundation of our well-being and healthy habits, our ability to have healthy habits. Because if you're doing everything under the sun and not getting enough sleep, it will never be enough, no matter what you do, no matter how healthy you feel you're being. If you're not sleeping enough, if you're not getting enough sleep, it won't make the impact that it needs. So sleep is really the bedrock of your health and well-being. I actually read on the Rise app that sleep has been researched and studied longer than penicillin. So fun fact, but it's really proven to be the medicine for many and all majority of illnesses. And our ability to be a healthy, functioning human being really relies heavily on getting quality sleep. So first, on the habits that have changed my life, I would say sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. Sleep has so many benefits. Sleep has proven to help us to stay more focused. It helps with creativity, improving our memory and our ability to learn and pick up new information. It helps our skin look healthier, helps us stay young and more fresh, and it helps increase our metabolism. It improves our immunity, so we're less likely to get sick. I read a study that shared 6 nights of restricted sleep causes 30 to 40% decrease in our metabolism. And that's huge. So imagine it also helps us avoid gaining excess weight. It reduces our cravings for junk food. It has so many benefits. I also read that people that slept less than 7 hours a night were 3 times more likely to get a cold, which explained a big portion of my life when I was always sick because I was sleeping 4 to 6 hours a night, maximum 6 hours on weekends. And so I've experienced this firsthand, and I can attest to it and tell you how much it impacts our well-being. And sleep helps reduce our anxiety and depression. I read somewhere that an hour of sleep loss every night for a week creates a clinical level of anxiety disorder. That was pretty mind-blowing to me, but also it added up and makes sense. Imagine we think that, it's just an hour, but the level of stress that causes our body, and it causes us to age and feel basically in fight or flight mode. So a lot of us deal with a lack of quality sleep, and we are unaware of it. And that's why knowledge is power, and that's why we're having this conversation. So I really just want to emphasize that sleep is so key, and how much emphasis that adds to our night routine, because our night routine primes our ability to sleep well. So A rule that I want to share with you, I use as a guiding principle is the 3-2-1. It's a basic sleep hygiene guideline that we can follow to prime our body to sleep well. The first one is 3 hours before bed, not consuming large or heavy meals. So basically planning to have your dinner at least 4 hours before bed. This is so that you allow your body enough time to digest the meal properly. And you also want to avoid caffeinated beverages or alcoholic drinks, really opting for herbal tea or water. And I'm going to really dive into water shortly. But if you're feeling hungry closer to bedtime, opt for a light snack that's easy to digest, nothing heavy. The next one, number 2, is 2 hours before bed, avoid doing anything mentally stimulating, such as maybe working on projects or responding to work emails or watching an intense show. Instead, you want to opt in for relaxing activities that help you wind down. We'll get into that. An hour before bed, we want to put away our electronics. So that includes like not scrolling on social media or our emails and whatnot. Instead, this has made such a big difference for me, and I highly recommend this. Leaving your phone in another room and silencing notifications to give yourself some space. When we're on our phones or we have them next to us when we're sleeping, they have electromagnetic fields, they're EMFs, and so we want to avoid radio frequency radiation that disrupts our sleep and wakes us up at night. It's better to leave our phone somewhere else entirely, definitely not next to your head or next to your pillow or on your nightstand. Really either put it on the opposite side of the room, somewhere far away from where your head is, where you're sleeping, or just leave it in another room entirely. Your living room, kitchen, another room in the house, office, wherever you can. You might say, well, what about my alarm? Please get a physical alarm so you're not dependent on your phone to wake up, so that you don't need your phone to wake up and you can remove that dependency. Most people honestly fail to go to bed on time because it's so easy to get into the scrolling spiral. It's like a never-ending rabbit hole. There's always more content. If you have the habit of putting your phone away an hour before you go to bed, if you go to bed at 10, putting your phone on silent mode, having a scheduled routine where the night mode comes on at 9, you can put your phone away in the other room to give yourself that space. And I'm going to share with you some things you can do in that time frame. If you're wondering, what am I going to do an hour before bed? I'll share with you what I like to do, which are also habits that have helped me prioritize my energy and helped improve my focus. And one of those things, the number one thing I like to do, is writing down all the things I need to do the next day, having a major brain dump, which helps me sleep better, and I'm not having as many intrusive thoughts on what I don't want to forget the next day or wake up remembering like randomly, oh, I need to do this, and helps me start the next day knowing exactly what my priorities are, helps me wake up on time because I know exactly what I need to do. I'm not wondering and then also putting off waking up on time because I'm like, oh, that can wait. I know exactly what I need to get done, and it helps me get the most important thing on my list done first. I'm not just winging it. So I feel more productive throughout the day as a result. So it's really a win-win. Using that hour to give yourself space out of all the things that you do in one day, this will give your mental health such a boost and time to unwind without tons of conversations or images running through your mind. Or also, majorly, it helps us not wake up with our phone handy so that we're not scrolling first thing when we wake up, because it's a trap because it's easy to do. We have notifications and most people's curiosity leads them to check the notification. It's a very simple process, unfortunately. So whether you check your email thing or your messages or socials, an effective way to break the habit is to keep your phone in another room so that you can start your morning without your phone for at least the first 30 minutes. But if you can do an hour, I urge you, that'd be amazing. But let's just say even 30 minutes. I like how Jay Shetty puts it. He says checking your phone first thing in the morning is like waking up and having 20 people enter your bedroom first thing as soon as you wake up. So you wake up and all these people walk straight in. And it really puts into perspective how really checking our phone first thing in the morning impacts our nervous system. It's like going from 0 to 100. And I heard somewhere else, it's like when you start your car first thing, you don't just go from 0 miles per hour to 80 or 60. Sorry, 80 is a lot, but like, if you're going on the highway, I don't know. My point is you slowly increase your speed. And the same applies here, like starting your day, allowing yourself some space before checking your phone, before like getting yourself triggered through work emails or whatever it may be for you. It really sets you up for having a more centered and less of a monkey mind. Continuing with nighttime healthy habits, after making a list of all the things I need to do, I then like to write in my 5-minute journal, which takes literally 2 minutes or less. I've timed myself actually, and it helps me take inventory of the day. And it is such a good use of time. It helps me take inventory of the day that I just had. It asks about what the best parts were, what were lessons from the day. And I also basically get to audit my entries from earlier in the morning, where it's basically asking what would make my day great. And so it's a form of personal accountability on what I had mentioned I would like to do. And it's really interesting to see how much more likely I'm able to do the things that I write about. And so it's helpful in a lot of ways. It helps me think about if anything made me upset that day. And if so, I definitely want to journal about it so that I can let go of it, that I can let go of anything that didn't serve me. Letting go of anything that has happened in a day is really a beautiful practice, because I think of it like I don't deserve to carry that energy, nor do people tend to do things intentionally to hurt me. Most people have our best interest in mind, and they're not intending to hurt you. Most people are just consumed with their own lives. At times, they may do things that may hurt us, and we might hold on to resentment or anger. And meanwhile, they could be completely unaware of it. It's like that saying comes to mind by Buddha. He says, holding on to anger is like holding on to coal and expecting not to get burned. And that is pretty big. Really, like forgive whoever wronged you that day, and ask yourself what you learned about that interaction, about that situation. And allow yourself peace of mind, and also to avoid maybe gibberish dreams about it. This really helped me sleep more restfully too, because I am a pretty vivid dreamer. I don't know about you, but I want to avoid dreaming about stuff that is gibberish. And honestly, all it does is cause me to wake up after sleeping a full night feeling tired and exhausted, because overall my energy was being drained while I was sleeping, having these like dreams. And so I found that overall it really helps my mental health and helps me with my peace of mind. Then I like to shower and wash off the day, preferably warm to hot showers for me, because it helps me feel cozy and ready for sleep. Not having a phone this entire time makes this whole experience so wholesome. It's almost like having a retreat at home. I don't know. Maybe it depends on who is connecting with this episode. Some people aren't as attached to their phones, but for me, as someone who has my phone with me throughout the day and I have to have really firm boundaries, I'll go into that. I think it's just so nice to have that time frame where I don't look at my phone, where I don't have it, where I can just be more present and with myself. And so afterward, I like to read. And my goal is to read 10 pages a day, but sometimes I'm really tired and I can't stay up. So instead, I'll read like a couple pages versus just not reading at all. And my goal is to have 30 minutes to read. What I've really been keen on recently is adopting this mindset of little by little. So I rather read 5 minutes than none at all. Again, if I only have 5 minutes, I rather just do that. And a lot of times we get in our own way by having this all or none mentality if we don't have time for a full chapter, or if we don't have a full 30 minutes. It's like, then I'm not going to read at all. But you may be surprised by just how much you can read in 5 minutes, or how much impact that 5 minutes can have on you, and how much it can ground you, and how that 5 minutes impacts your mind. It's elasticity. Whether you're learning something or engaged in a stimulating story, it's helpful and good for our mind to give ourselves that time. And the habit becomes easier to keep when we still show up, even if we don't have the full time, versus always needing a certain amount of time, or needing things to be a specific way, or things to be perfect, because that's just complicating the situation. And reading a couple pages doesn't need to be complicated. It's reading a book. When I think back, like when I was younger, reading was so much easier, but it's because it was just something I did naturally. I didn't have to plan it. And I think when we think about planning reading, then it becomes like this dreadful activity. But, figure out the path of least resistance for you. Allow yourself to be there with it. You might prefer to listen to your books, and that's good too. Whatever you prefer. I hope you are able to give yourself time to read and expand your mind. Even if it's just 1 or 2 pages a day, it's still something. And it keeps it in your schedule, in rotation with your life. And to be honest, especially at night, sometimes I'm dozing off and it helps me fall asleep. And so if I'm not dozing off and I'm conscious, I'll do a guided or visualization meditation. But I prefer usually doing that in the morning when I can be fully aware so that I get the benefits of the meditation. But some other suggestions for healthy nighttime habits and routines that I want to share is taking a bath. That can be one of the most effective ways to relax for a restful sleep. Maybe have a slow night flow. Maybe do restorative yoga, or so many class options available on YouTube. You can search for any duration, if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, stretching, yin, restorative, whatever you prefer. Or maybe for you is just listening to soothing music. If you don't care for reading at all, then maybe the visualization exercise is what you want to do, because that's a great way to bring your manifestations front and center in your mind before you go to sleep. All in all, I think the goal is to get out of our head and into our body as a primer for improving the quality of our sleep and the quality of our energy the next day. Moving on to the morning routine section, morning habits. I mentioned earlier not grabbing our phones first thing. The first thing I like to do when I wake up is make my bed and journal. If you're not on this wagon already, it literally takes 60 seconds to make our bed, and it reassures your mind in your headspace that I'm intentional with my time. 60 seconds is not going to make me late for my day. If anything, 60 seconds is going to help prep me for my day because I'm more mindful about my time and how I'm spending it. And so while I make my bed and get my morning water ready, I play affirmations on the ThinkUp app, or I listen to a motivational tape on YouTube. I love Abraham Hicks. I've shared some of the audios that I like on my Instagram, and I do so as I find new ones. So check out my stories for those. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share recommendations. Then the next thing that I just mentioned, and it's been huge game changer for me, is drinking 4 cups of water with lime or lemon squeezed in it. And look, like I understand that sounds like a lot of water, but once you get used to doing this, your body is going to feel so energetic, so much better. You're going to begin to crave it like I do. First thing, without drinking caffeine first or anything else. And it's so important to know that after a whole night's sleep, your body needs to rehydrate. Drinking water first thing is so important because your body has lost fluids overnight. And so starting your day by hydrating yourself, it has so many benefits. Like it boosts your metabolism. It helps your body flush out toxins that basically your body processed overnight while you're sleeping. It improves healthy digestion and weight loss because your body's able to break down food, and it can absorb nutrients better when it's hydrated. It does so much. It helps enhance our brain function because our level of hydration impacts our brain performance. I honestly feel like not enough people know about how much drinking water improves our mental and just our overall well-being. It improves our skin health. I read somewhere that water basically improves our skin health by delivering essential nutrients to our skin cells. Like, I don't know who doesn't want that, It helps us avoid getting infections and prevents kidney stones. Honestly, the list goes on and on. It helps us in so many different levels. And so, especially because our body is 55 to 65% made up of water. I believe it's based on our gender and our age. And so hopefully if you're not already keen on water, I've convinced you to drink more of it. And frankly, at first, it was a lot. Like I remember having my 4 cups of water in a mason jar. I'd seriously look at it and be like, how am I going to drink all of this? Slowly starting with 1 cup and giving myself time while I journaled to continue finishing it, it became more and more manageable. And now It's improved to the point where I drink all 4 cups super fast and want more. So keeping in mind that it's a given that it'll feel uncomfortable and unnatural at first, but you'll get used to it. And I think it'll be fun to see once you start to do this, if you'll crave less coffee or junk food or things that you usually resort to improve your energy or focus. And maybe you'll be able to cut down caffeine and sugary drinks for your hydration. I really hope that's the case. So let me know if you try this. Let me know how it goes for you. I'm super interested. And I hope this conveys that really wellness doesn't need to be a luxury, and that the things that our body really needs to stay healthy and well are things that are free, that we don't need to buy so many things to live a healthier life. Water is a natural resource. Sleep is a natural medicine. Sunlight is a gift that nourishes us. And I hope I'm able to really drive that home. So the next habit that I love, that I've already alluded to, is journaling. And this is so therapeutic, you guys. So first thing, as I'm drinking my water, I start journaling. I do free writing, and I aim to write for at least 3 pages, as it's suggested by the Artist Way to push us to continue to brain dump. But I've been journaling for years, since I was like 12. It's almost magical what happens when we put pen to paper. Our subconscious is able to brainstorm. By writing, we're untangling our thoughts and helping ourselves basically connect the dots and make solutions more obvious. It helps improve our level of self-awareness. We become aware of patterns in our thoughts and behaviors and habits, and it helps us get to know ourselves better. And we're not machines, we're human beings. So we really need to allow ourselves a modality to check in with ourselves and see how we're feeling on a daily basis. And being honest with ourselves. It's different when people ask how we're feeling. We almost fall into an autopilot response, and having a space where we can be honest with ourselves. Yeah, you might think people ask you how you're doing, but we're almost in autopilot response mode when people ask. We always say, I'm good. Oh, things are good, which can really suppress emotions. And starting the day with journaling really improves our level of clarity and focus, because we don't have so many things running in our mind. And it helps us be more intentional with our day and having clear direction for ourselves and what's important to us, and it helps us give our energy to our goals. And really, I think it helps us also boost our productivity, because we become more clear on the things that are important to us, the things that matter to us. It helps us not feel as stressed, because it helps us process our emotions. So I really do find it to be therapeutic. I also find that when I'm writing more, I'm more creative. It's like it enhances this part of our brain that can channel new ideas or like think of things in new ways, because you're writing and you're allowing yourself space to be open. I think that's key, like allowing ourselves to be open. An overarching benefit is that it helps deepen our self-growth as a whole. If you'd like to start this and you don't know where to start, a couple suggestions as far as a starting point is maybe ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is occupying my mind? What's running through my mind space? And then what are the best things in my life? Things that I'm super grateful for. Gratitude is the most powerful. I'm really, really huge on gratitude. It helps us see more of the things that we want and we love and we appreciate in life. And so priming yourself, priming your mind to notice the things that you appreciate. What are the best things in my life? What are things that I really appreciate? What are small things? And what do I want to work on? What do I want to focus on? What do I need to grow on? What would make my day great? What can I learn more about? I also mentioned earlier that I like to journal about my dreams first thing in the morning. It helps me really make conclusions about patterns or maybe even lessons that aren't front and center to my conscious mind and are more subconscious in nature. It helps me process them. If you're thinking like, I don't have time for all of these prompts or journaling 15 to 20 minutes a day, and then honestly, grab a 5-minute journal. It takes less than 5 minutes. It is super simple. It's 3 things you're grateful for, which helps you get specific because you're writing it every single day. 3 things that would make your day great, and 2 affirmations that can help you speak what you're looking to manifest in your life into existence. So I encourage you to try this and let me know how it goes. If you do decide to get a 5-minute journal, I do have a discount code that I'm happy to add in the show notes. It's just Shola10, my first name and number is 10. The next habit is doing breath work. The beauty of this one is that it's always with us. It is the most stable pillar for us to lean on and to center with. And it's something that we can use anywhere, anytime, in moments of anxiety, in big, crucial conversations and escalations, or when we're feeling nervous before a meeting or a presentation, or maybe a party, a social gathering. In any of these moments, we can always lean on our breath and center with it and reduce our stress and anxiety. And the reason why it's so effective is because most of us don't realize that our shallow breath is one of the contributors or causes of anxiety. It's both a symptom and a contributor, but a lot of times the anxiety that we feel can be alleviated or remediated by doing breath work. We can remediate the symptoms and our anxiety by breathing more deeply, which helps reduce the symptoms and make us feel more calm. So I'm going to share a couple exercises that I do. One is box breathing, which you want to just choose the duration or how many seconds you want to breathe in and out. Maybe you can start with 4 to 5 seconds, and you can increase the duration as you improve your practice. So the way it works is you inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5, exhale for 5, and hold on empty for 5. So it really brings your focus and your attention, your mind to the present moment, to the here and now, to your breath. And it helps reduce anxiety and stress, and it helps regulate our nervous system so that we're not in fight or flight, and ideally shift into rest and digest. And so it enhances so many aspects of our emotional well-being and our mindfulness, our ability to be conscious in our everyday life. It helps us improve the quality of our sleep. And the next one is triangle breath, which is essentially the same concept, except for you don't hold on empty. So you inhale for a count of 5, you hold for a count of 5, and you exhale for a count of 5. And then you just repeat that. Similar to box breathing, it has the same benefits. And I love to use this as a method for falling asleep. If you have a lot on your mind, as soon as you start counting your breath, you can't really think of a million things at once. And so it shoots 2 birds with 1 stone. It helps calm your nervous system and clears your mind. So ideally, if you're doing your brain dump before going to bed, you'll have less running in your mind, but hopefully the breath work will deepen that relaxation and help you with overall nervous system management and managing anxiety, stress, depression, and help you get more deeper, more restful sleep, and just overall at any time, right? And really at any time. I found it so helpful. There's this one time that I can clearly remember. I was on a road trip and there was so much happening in the car. There was so much energy, and it was a lot. And I remember just going back to my breath and just counting it and basically tuning everything else out. And it helped me dramatically. And that was a moment of growth for me, because previous to that, I would get really riled up and engaged and really get into the debate or whatever. And instead, because of my breath work, because of my meditation practice, I was able to be mindful and notice that was the space and time for me to add breath work. So the more you do this, the easier it'll get. And the next one, I already mentioned reading, but I also really like to start my day reading 1 or 2 pages. I like it because it's I have a couple of favorite books that I've shared in my newsletter that really are just 1 to 2 pages of short stories, and they're just so beautiful and grounding and inspiring. And so I highly suggest, and if you'd like any recommendations, let me know. I have some of these books on my Amazon storefront if you'd like to check it out. But one of them is The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. And this year I'm reading The Pivot Year, which has a short daily read by Brianna Weiss. And I really like that a lot. You might have seen it already if you follow me on Instagram. Other healthy habits that serve me throughout the day is having firm boundaries with notifications on my phone, especially because I work on my phone a lot. Having firm boundaries with my notifications is really important and key to my productivity and my ability to focus. I limit what messages pop up on my screen, what notifications I see, because otherwise I'd have major monkey brain and would be all over the place. Seriously, like there's so much. So having really windows of time and limits, it helps a lot. Like having dedicated time slots when I check messages and respond so that it's 15 to 30 minutes of my day versus throughout the day, which really requires a lot of context switching and really derails my focus. Also, I'm super keen on having healthy media consumption. So I curate my feed with content that's uplifting, it's inspiring, not news or bashful media. It's just triggering and energy draining. I can be really slow to respond to text because I really have silenced my notifications so that I can focus and be productive. I think people that know me know that and understand, and I appreciate you if you're listening to this. Another habit is not having caffeine after 1 p.m. I'm a big tea drinker. I love my Earl Grey and matcha. I haven't had coffee in years and it just doesn't suit my body, but limiting caffeine has helped me avoid having caffeine crashes, and it helps me have just more regulated and consistent energy throughout the day. I think that's where my water consumption really comes into play too. I think a lot of times we're thirsty and our body is asking us for water and we're adding all these other things that dehydrate us. Like a lot of times we might be just thirsty and we think we're hungry. Whereas if you just drink some water, you realize that you were just thirsty. Obviously, don't suppress your hunger with water. I'm not suggesting that, but I think it's important though to distinguish. It's just our body is dehydrated and we think that it's hungry. Also, keeping in mind that coffee and other sugary drinks make us more thirsty. And so just try to opt for water first before drinking another substitute beverage. And then lastly, eating nourishing foods and avoiding and not opting for fast or comfort food every time, or just making it once in a while. Because really, once you get into this habit, once we train our body to get used to eating healthy, we almost begin to reject greasy food and unhealthy food. You will notice a dramatic difference. And also, it's good to know that it brings our energy down. It impacts our mood. Instead of having random snacks or candy and whatnot, have fresh fruits. I mean, it's full of natural sweetness plus vitamins and nutrients that can even help replace supplements that you might be taking. So instead, opt in for having mixed nuts or yogurt. And seriously, I love yogurt because it has probiotics in it. I love my yogurt and granola snack. I'm a big foodie, and honestly, I'm very keen on healthy fats, whole grains, proteins. I love having avocados, almond butter, and I love almond butter toast. I love adding banana slices to it and hemp seeds and honey, and I love having apples with peanut butter, and there's just so many healthy food options that don't require us to cook or prep. I think a lot of times we shy away from it because we think, I don't have that much time. But what if these snacks just take a couple minutes or seconds of your time? And I know it requires grocery shopping, but I think that 30 to 60 minutes of your time will really benefit you. When I lived in New York City, I would do my shopping from my phone and it would be delivered to my house. So it really did save me time. Even though I love going in person, I think it's just fun to pick out your food. Make it a fun thing for you. Make it a fun activity, going grocery shopping, and you get to check out all this fun, fresh nutrients. I don't know. I find that so exciting, but I also love to cook. So I'm just drawn to food a lot. But a lot of times the healthy food that I do have, I make in batches. So I'll make grains and maybe I'll steam beets and kale marinated and other things so that it's all ready and it just requires me to mix it. Again, creating a path of least resistance for the things that I want to eat that will fuel me and that will keep me energized. There's so much nutrients in that. And so that's a wrap. I'd love to hear your habits and your routines, what helps you and fuels you. I also want to encourage you to implement at least one of these and try it out for a week or two. And, there's absolutely nothing to lose, right? If it doesn't work for you, you can abandon it. But I do encourage you to try it for at least a few days. to a week and see how it improves your energy. And I do suggest trying one at a time so that you can notice its impact and efficacy before you move on and before you abandon it. And I hope this episode served you. Please let me know. Share your comments with me. If you enjoyed this episode, rate and review it on your preferred platform. It means so much to me. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, I send you tons of love. Thank you.